So, like me, a lot of you probably played the Star Wars games when you were younger. And like me, you probably fell in love with a few choice titles. You know, I think that one of the first Star Wars games I played was probably pod racing. And obviously, I got super addicted to that because it was one of the first racing games that had, parts that you could upgrade, and it felt, and it was in a universe that was sci-fi. So obviously, even though the game was hard at the time when I was younger, I got pretty addicted to that. But nothing can replace the feeling that I had when Star Wars Battlefronts came out. Star Wars Battlefront, when that game came out, and even Knights of the Old Republic, there was like a few choice games of that franchise that really put me so much closer to the movies. And I didn't consume a lot of the books material, but these games allowed us to live in the worlds and interact with those places. And I don't know, there was just something special about these few games. And even the RTS they made was, I think, one of the better RTSs in my opinion. But I think when it comes down to it, kind of that same feeling I'm getting again, because there is a Star Wars game that is coming out that I think might end up being absolutely incredible if they do it right. And I'm talking about, over the years, Star Wars games have declined. Bad. I mean, I would even take Lego Star Wars over some of these games that have come out, okay? I don't know what happened. All I know is, even Republic Commando was decent. I mean, I thought it was definitely interesting. Something happened to Star Wars, like the games side of it, where they just decided to stop making absolute bangers. I mean, to be fair, there were at a time, right? There was a time when they made some games that were really good, and some that were okay, and some that, people just didn't care for. But it seems like nowadays, every single Star Wars game that comes out is fucking terrible. And it really disconnects you from that world, where it's like these older games, I cannot tell you the feeling that I had when I first played Star Wars Battlefront, but the original, not the new shit, okay? And when that came out and you could play online and you could do, especially the second one definitely had support for, even more players. Even the bot matches. I remember playing hundreds of hours of the bot matches. And one of the things about those games that I've always wanted them to expand on was the Galactic conquest feature, which they actually ended up removing at some point with these newer games. I heard a lot about that wasn't in the game, and they were going to bring it back, but didn't, or something happened with those. I didn't really play the newer games because they're just not equivalent at all. They're nowhere near close. But that's what I want to talk about today. The aspect of the Galactic Conquest was always very interesting to me, where you would play as a specific empire, and you would wage war, and you would take over planets, and you would get upgrades. You get to play the heroes, villains, all of that, the iconic people on each side. Now, you're probably thinking, what's your point? My point is, Galactic Conquest could have always been expanded. And I've played Mount & Blade, and there are Star Wars mods for stuff like that. But it's nothing compared to what's coming down the pipe. Total War is rumored to be making a Star Wars game. And it could be the revival, especially if Sega is in on it. It could be the revival of the Star Wars games in a way, giving us something to really look forward to. Because I think how a Total War game would have to happen is much the same way that the Galactic Conquest was made. And if you've played Warhammer Total War, if they do anything close to that, but in a space settings where you can take over planets and build up your empire and do things like this, I honestly think this is my most anticipated thing that I've seen in a long time. I mean, the movies got me, right? Obviously, I really enjoyed the Clone Wars series, and I enjoyed most of the older episodes, let's be honest. These newer films, I only enjoyed a few of them. But what I'm kind of getting at is this whole Total War thing could be insane. It could be the revival of the entire Star Wars games in general. Now, I know that there's talk of like different other Star Wars games coming out, but like, I was excited about Outlaws, and let's be honest, that turned out like terrible. I gave it the benefit of the doubt because I like Star Wars and I like the universe, and I'm like, hey, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, at least we're getting a game. At least we're getting something, right? We're not starving. But we might as well have. The game was, I would honestly say, play the online game, Star Wars Old Republic. It's got a better storyline. It's got better mechanics. I mean, listen, guys, you've got to give me a break on what I like. I think the Star Wars The Old Republic, the online game, is better than Outlaws. Certainly has better retention and better player base. But it is what it is, right? We can't go back and fix the mistakes of the past, and we can't keep looking nostalgically at games that are long since dead. Like, in 2025, are they going to revive pod racing? Probably not. Are they gonna go back and try to make a true to form Battlefront that's way better than this one? Probably not. Are they gonna do any of these things? Probably not. But what we can expect is that if Total War has a good creative amount of control, like the actual studio and the franchise has control over what happens with this game, more so than whoever the fuck has been screwing up all these Star Wars games, I'm fucking excited. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. Because Empire at War was a really fun RTS. And if we could somehow incorporate the original Battlefront Galactic Conquest with the RTS stuff from Empire at War, and we kind of smush all this into one game, considering what we already know about Total War, Warhammer, I think we can expect an amazing game. And how I see this playing out is you have the star system map, and then you zoom in and you have your planets. And you'll be taking over the entire galaxy. Now, with Warhammer, they had a mode where it's the whole map and everything is laid out, all the AI. So we know they can do it, right? Because we're talking about a huge amount of programming. they've got several leaders all working at the same time. They have the code that works for that. Every time I've sat down and played a game of the Warhammer Total War series, I've been surprised. I've been genuinely surprised. Sometimes it does things that you wouldn't expect, but you know, it's not the same when you're playing like Civ or something. The way that their code works and the way and how unique these characters are, I feel like they have to put a little bit more depth into the way that they think about their AI and how they want it to operate in the game. So with the Star Wars stuff, I kind of feel like we're going to get such a unique thing that we couldn't really get from modded stuff. Like I said, Mountain Blade had a lot of mods for Star Wars, and it was really cool to play those. But they were mods, and they were small teams, and there were people not being paid, and they never fully got the thing. I mean, the only thing I would be more excited about is if they did like a Lord of the Rings Total War. That would be insane. And that could be next down the pipeline if they've done Warhammer and they've done, and Warhammer's really hard to get right. And I think they did. I think they got it really right. I think they got it beautifully right. And I think if they go to Star Wars, what other thing could they go for next? And I think Lord of the Rings could be on there. I think that could be a real... Tolkien is gone, right? And for the people who own the ability to sell the rights where we are now, I could see it happening. If there was enough player interest and there was enough people talking about it, I think it could happen. And this is just off my knowledge of like what has done well with the modding scene on Mountain Blade. And two of those big ones are Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Now, I know that everyone is not really willing to give Star Wars a chance at this point. I think a lot of people are pretty burnt out. I think people are pretty pissed off that they've basically taken the Star Wars franchise and nosedived it for, I don't know. I think I genuinely, I remember in the 90s people talking about how corporations are greedy and they just want money and stuff, but I kind of miss it. Because, man, look where we are now. They don't even want money anymore. They just want you to fucking suffer. They don't care about the customer. They don't care about nothing, dude. They don't care about anything. I don't know what they do care about. It can't be money because they're losing money. These studios are making games that no one wants. They're taking everything and they're diving it into the ground. And then you really got to ask yourself, like, it feels like someone who crashes a car because they know they have insurance. They crash it on purpose to pay for it so they can get a new car. It's like almost insurance fraud level of game design. When you look at the games that are being made and you look at the state of games, it's like that they spend as much money as they can knowing that there's like some kind of bailout that's going to happen if they can crash the project. Now, I don't know what mechanisms protect the CEOs and the board members and against the investors, because if I was an investor, I'd sue because they're intentionally sabotaging projects. It's so intentional. And sure, they'll never admit it. It won't be a thing that gets admitted. But my God, it's very obvious to regular people that these studios seem to be addicted to taking franchises and nosediving them on purpose for some reason. But like, what is the reason? What do they gain from that? It's weird. CEOs used to wanted to be successful in everything they did. Failure was not an option. Some of these CEOs would fail one time and jump off a building. Nowadays, they don't give a fuck. They'll tell you to go fuck yourself. They don't even care about the investments. They're taking other people's money and running wild with it out here. And it seems like there used to be rules in place. There used to be shame in place. There used to be, I'm a successful guy, and after this company, I make it giant and sell off my shares. I'm going to move to the next company and make them huge and make a ton of money. It's not even about money anymore. It's not even about power. It's not about any of this. I think this is such a warped way to look at it, but I think we really took for granted the amount of rules that were in place at these places, the amount of structure they had. Because we don't have any of that now. They're not culpable for fucking anything. They don't answer to anyone. Not the investors, not their company. They're getting away with absolutely nosediving companies. And for what? For what? What's the gain here? Are they like secretly on the back burner? Like, what do they have to gain? Are they like thinking about like, man, if I nosedive this company, I can open up my own studio and rake in millions or something? I would at least applaud them for being able to pull that off without getting in trouble. But it does seem like there's not much culpability when it comes to the things that are going on. So, having said all this rant, I think my main point is, even though everything is so bad right now in games, and everything sucks, I can't help but sit here and think that this game could be amazing. It could be. It could really be amazing. I really want to know what you guys think. And if you like this video, I'm going to try to do more. But from where I'm sitting, I'm ecstatic. I'm absolutely ecstatic about this. I just hope they pull it off. I hope they pull it off at the same level of quality and care that they did with Warhammer. Because when you look at Warhammer and you look at what they've done, the history that they understood and the programming and making the commanders so unique and crafting the entire maps and the worlds and the lore and the cutscenes and the mechanics, they have done such an amazing job. I really do think that they could pull off a Star Wars game that we'd actually enjoy for years to come. And I'm probably about to play me some Warhammer Total War, quite honestly. Thank you for watching.